I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts. I always read them during my lunch breaks, shaking my head at how people could be so blind to what was happening right in front of them. But here I am, and honestly, I still can't believe this is my life now. I guess I should start from the beginning, though the beginning feels like it happened to a different person entirely. Her name was Sarah. Is Sarah, I guess, though she's not part of my life anymore. We met 3 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. I was 28, she was 26, and I genuinely thought I'd met the woman I was going to marry. I know how that sounds, especially given what I'm about to tell you, but that's how it felt. She had this laugh that could light up a room, these green eyes that seemed to see right through all the walls I'd built up over the years, and this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the world when she talked to me. We started dating officially about a month after we met. The first year was incredible. We'd spend entire weekends in bed, talking about everything and nothing, ordering takeout, watching movies, making love, and just existing in this perfect bubble we'd created. She was a graphic designer working freelance, and I was a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company. Our schedules aligned pretty well, and we made it work even when they didn't. About 8 months into our relationship, her lease was coming up for renewal, and my roommate had just moved out to live with his girlfriend. It seemed natural, almost inevitable, that Sarah would move in with me. We'd basically been living together anyway, with how much time she spent at my place. She kept a toothbrush, had clothes in my closet, her shampoo in my shower. Making it official just made sense. I remember the day she moved in. It was a Saturday in April, and the weather was perfect. Her friends came to help, and I ordered pizza for everyone. We spent the whole day arranging furniture and arguing playfully about where things should go. She wanted to hang this abstract art piece above the couch that I thought looked like a 4-year-old's finger painting, but I let her because seeing her happy made me happy. That night, after everyone left, we christened every room in the apartment. I fell asleep with her in my arms, thinking about how lucky I was. The thing is, looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. Or maybe they weren't there at all in the beginning, and things changed so gradually that I didn't notice. I don't know anymore. But what I do know is that somewhere along the way, the relationship I thought we had and the relationship she thought we had became two completely different things. It started small. About a year after she moved in, I noticed she'd stopped posting pictures of us on social media. When I'd post something, she wouldn't like it or comment on it. I mentioned it once, and she said social media was toxic and she was trying to use it less. That seemed reasonable. Lots of people were doing social media detoxes. I didn't think much of it. Then there were the nights out with friends that became more frequent. I didn't mind at first. I'm not one of those guys who needs to know where his girlfriend is every second of the day. We'd always had our own friends, our own interests. Independence in a relationship is healthy, right? But it went from once or twice a month to once or twice a week, then to 3 or 4 times a week. When I suggested coming along, she'd say it was girls' night, or that I'd be bored, or that her friends needed her and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to be there. Again, I understood. I had my own friends, my own hobbies. I'd use those nights to hang out with my buddies or work on personal coding projects. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting a little when she'd come home at 2 in the morning, smelling like alcohol and perfume, barely acknowledging me before passing out in bed. Our intimate life changed too. We went from being all over each other to having sex maybe once every 2 weeks, if that. When I tried to initiate, she was always tired or stressed about work or not in the mood. The few times we did have sex, it felt mechanical, like she was going through the motions. I tried talking to her about it, and she'd get defensive, saying I was being needy or that not everything was about sex. I started paying for more things. Sarah's freelance work was inconsistent, or so she said. Some months were great, others not so much. I made good money, so I didn't mind covering rent and utilities. Then I was covering groceries. Then I was covering her car payment because she had a rough month. Then her student loans because she needed to catch up. I loved her, and I thought that's what you did for the person you loved. You supported them. She'd promised to pay me back when she landed a big client, but those big clients never seemed to materialize. Or they did, but then there was some emergency, some unexpected expense that ate up all her earnings. Her laptop broke. Her car needed repairs. Her mom needed help with medical bills. There was always something. I'm not proud to admit this, but I started feeling more like a wallet than a boyfriend. But every time that thought crept into my head, she'd do something to pull me back in. She'd surprise me with my favorite meal, or we'd have an amazing night together like the old days, or she'd tell me she loved me and that she didn't know what she'd do without me, and I'd feel guilty for ever doubting her. This went on for almost 2 years. 2 years of slowly feeling like I was losing her, but not being able to put my finger on exactly what was wrong. 2 years of wondering if I was being paranoid or if my concerns were valid. 2 years of trying to be the perfect boyfriend, thinking that if I just loved her enough, supported her enough, gave her enough space, everything would go back to how it used to be. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Friday in October, about 3 months ago now. Sarah had plans to meet up with her friends at this trendy bar downtown. I'd had a long week at work and was looking forward to a quiet night in, probably playing video games and ordering Chinese food. She spent an hour getting ready, putting on this tight black dress I'd never seen before, doing her makeup in that smoky eye way that I loved. She looked absolutely stunning, and for a moment, I felt that old spark. I pulled her close and kissed her, suggesting maybe she stay in with me instead. She laughed and pushed me away gently, saying she'd already committed to her friends and that I was being clingy. That word stung more than I wanted to admit. She left around 8, and I settled in for my quiet night alone. Around 10:30, I realized I'd run out of beer. The corner store was just a block away, so I threw on a hoodie and headed out. On my way back, I passed by the bar where Sarah said she was meeting her friends. I wasn't checking up on her, I want to make that clear. It was literally on the way back to our apartment. But as I walked past, I saw her through the window. She was at a high-top table with 3 of her friends, laughing at something on her phone. I smiled to myself, thinking about going in to say hi, maybe steal a quick kiss before heading home. I know she'd said it was girls' night, but surely she wouldn't mind me popping in for just a minute. I walked in, and the bar was loud, packed with the usual Friday night crowd. I started making my way toward their table when I heard it. One of her friends, Jessica, was talking loud enough to be heard over the music. "So are you bringing Sarah to Mike's wedding next month?" She was asking another friend, Lauren. "I don't know, maybe. Are you still seeing that guy from Bumble?" Lauren responded. And then I heard Sarah's voice clear as day. "You guys should totally come. It'll be fun. And yes, Lauren, we're all still single and ready to mingle." I froze. Maybe I'd misheard. Maybe she was joking. I moved a little closer, staying behind a group of people so they couldn't see me. Jessica laughed. "Sarah, what about that guy you live with? What's his name again?" My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it over the music. Sarah took a sip of her drink. "Oh, you mean Mark. He's just my roommate. It's convenient, you know. The rent is cheap and he's hardly ever around." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I stood there, frozen, as her friends continued the conversation. "Wait, I thought you two were together?" This was from the third friend, Amanda, who I'd met several times at various gatherings. Sarah laughed. It was that same laugh that I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago, but now it sounded cruel. God, no. I mean, we hooked up a few times when I first moved in, but that was ages ago. It's purely platonic now. He's like a brother to me, a brother who pays most of my bills. All 3 of her friends burst out laughing at that. My hands were shaking. I wanted to storm over there to demand an explanation, to make a scene, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, listening to the woman I loved, the woman I'd been planning to propose to, tell her friends that I was nothing more than a convenient roommate and an ATM. "That's kind of genius, actually," Jessica said. "Free rent and you're still free to date whoever you want." "It's not completely free," Sarah corrected. "I have to pretend to care about his day sometimes and occasionally have pity sex with him. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet deal. I'm saving so much money." Pity sex. The words echoed in my head. Every intimate moment we'd shared over the past 2 years, every time I'd thought we were connecting, rebuilding what we'd lost, she'd been doing it out of pity, out of obligation, to keep her free ride going. "Are you going to tell him eventually?" Amanda asked. "That seems kind of mean, stringing him along." Sarah shrugged. "I mean, it's not really stringing him along. I've never actually said we're in a relationship. He just assumed." And if he's stupid enough to pay for everything without me even asking most of the time, that's on him. What about that guy you've been seeing? The one from your yoga class? Lauren asked. My legs almost gave out. There was another guy. Oh, Derek. That's going really well, actually. He's taking me to Napa next weekend. Told Mark I have a work conference. Of course, the work conference. She'd mentioned it 2 weeks ago, said a potential client wanted to meet in person to discuss a big project. I'd been so proud of her, so excited for this opportunity. I'd even given her $500 for travel expenses. I don't remember walking out of the bar. I don't remember the walk back to the apartment. The next thing I clearly remember is sitting on our couch, the six-pack of beer I'd bought sitting untouched on the coffee table, staring at the abstract art piece above the couch that I'd let her hang up because it made her happy. My mind was racing. 3 years. 3 years of my life. I'd been planning to propose on our anniversary next month. I'd been saving for a ring, a nice one, because I wanted her to have something beautiful. I'd already talked to my boss about taking time off for a honeymoon. I'd imagined our future, our kids, growing old together, and to her I was just a roommate, a paycheck, someone too stupid to realize he was being used. The anger came in waves. I wanted to throw something, break something, scream. But underneath the anger was this crushing sense of humiliation and heartbreak. How had I been so blind? How had I let this happen? I looked around the apartment with new eyes. How much of this had I paid for? The TV, the couch, the kitchen table, most of the furniture in the bedroom. I'd bought her the laptop she used for work after hers broke. I'd paid for her car repairs, her phone bill, her credit card debt. I'd covered rent and utilities for months at a time. I'd bought groceries, paid for dates, given her money whenever she needed it. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I started going through transactions, adding up every expense related to Sarah over the past 2 years. The number I arrived at made me feel physically ill. Almost $60,000. $60,000 I'd given to someone who saw me as nothing more than a convenient source of income. I heard her key in the lock around 2 in the morning. She stumbled in, clearly drunk, and jumped when she saw me sitting in the dark. Jesus, Mark, you scared me. Why are you still up? I turned on the lamp next to me. How was your night? It was good, just hung out with the girls, you know how it is. She kicked off her heels and headed toward the bedroom. I'm exhausted. Coming to bed? Every fiber of my being wanted to confront her right then. To tell her I knew everything, that I'd heard what she said, that I knew about Derek and the fake work conference. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the fact that she was drunk and wouldn't remember the conversation. Maybe it was that some part of me still didn't want to believe it was true, or maybe it was something else entirely. You go ahead, I said. I'm going to stay up for a bit. She shrugged and disappeared into the bedroom. 5 minutes later, I could hear her snoring. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on that couch until the sun came up thinking. And as I thought, the hurt and anger began to crystallize into something else, something cold and calculating. If Sarah wanted to use me, if she thought I was too stupid to figure out what she was doing, then fine. I could use that. I could make her think everything was normal while I planned my next move. Because I wasn't going to just kick her out and be done with it. That was too easy, too kind. She'd just move on to the next guy, do the same thing to him. She'd probably tell her friends some story about how I was a crazy ex who'd kicked her out for no reason. No, I wanted her to understand exactly what she'd done. I wanted consequences. I wanted justice. Over the next few days, I acted completely normal. I went to work, came home, asked about her day, told her about mine. It was harder than I expected, pretending like nothing was wrong. Every time she touched me, I had to resist the urge to pull away. Every time she said she loved me, I wanted to call her a liar. But I held it together. I started doing research. I looked up tenant rights in our state, consulted with a lawyer friend about my options. Sarah wasn't on the lease. When she'd moved in, we'd meant to add her, but we'd never gotten around to it. The apartment was solely in my name. I paid all the rent, and I had 2 years of bank statements to prove it. Legally, she was essentially a guest in my home. I could ask her to leave at any time, but I wanted to be smart about this. I didn't want her claiming any rights to property or coming after me for anything later. I also started documenting everything. I set up a small camera in the living room, hidden in a bookshelf, that would record during the day while I was at work. I started keeping a detailed log of her comings and goings, what she told me she was doing versus what she was actually doing. It took less than a week to catch her in multiple lies. The coffee with a potential client was actually lunch with Derek. The girls' night on Wednesday was actually a date with Derek. The yoga class she went to every Tuesday and Thursday. She was meeting Derek at his place. I knew because I'd followed her once, calling in sick to work. Seeing her walk into his building, watching through the lobby window as they kissed in the elevator, broke something in me that I don't think will ever fully heal. But it also steeled my resolve. I found Derek on social media easily enough. Sarah had posted a photo from yoga class months ago, and he was in the background. His profile was public, and he seemed like exactly the kind of guy Sarah would go for. Handsome, fit, lots of photos from exotic vacations and expensive restaurants. He worked in finance, some high-powered job downtown. Interestingly, his relationship status was set to single. I wondered if he knew about me, or if Sarah had fed him the same, just a roommate line. The fake work conference was coming up that weekend. Sarah was excited, spending money I'd given her on new clothes for the trip. I helped her pack, asked if she needed anything else, told her I'd miss her. She kissed me on the cheek and said she'd miss me too. I wanted to throw up. The Friday she left, I took the day off work. I watched from the window as Derek picked her up in his BMW. They kissed before getting in the car, and then they were gone. I had the entire weekend to myself, and I used it productively. First, I went through all of Sarah's things. I wasn't snooping exactly. I was cataloging. I made a detailed list of everything she owned versus everything I'd bought. The laptop was mine. The TV was mine. Most of the furniture was mine. Her clothes were hers, obviously, and some personal items. But the vast majority of stuff in the apartment belonged to me. I found some interesting things going through her papers. Credit card bills that showed she wasn't nearly as broke as she claimed. She'd been spending money on clothes, bars, restaurants, and hotels. The hotels really stung. I found her journal too. I know I shouldn't have read it, but I did. The entries from when we first started dating were sweet. She'd written about how much she cared about me, how happy I made her. But the entries got less frequent and less enthusiastic over time. The last entry, from about a month ago, was the kicker. Mark asked me again today if everything was okay between us. He's so needy lately. I feel bad sometimes, but not bad enough to give up the setup I have. Derek is pushing for me to get my own place so we can be more serious, but why would I when I have free rent? I'll figure out how to balance both for a while longer. Mark is safe and stable. Derek is exciting and successful. I can have both if I'm smart about it. I took photos of that page and several others, documentation. I also went through her laptop. I know her password because she'd never bothered to hide it from me. Why would she? I was just the stupid roommate who paid for everything. Her emails were enlightening. Conversations with friends where she mocked me, calling me boring and predictable. Messages with Derek where she told him she was falling for him. Flirty messages with at least 2 other guys on dating apps. I backed up everything to a hard drive. Every message, every email, every photo. I wanted a complete record. Then I started the next phase of my plan. I went to the bank on Monday and opened a new account, transferring most of my money into it. I left enough in the joint checking account, the one I'd stupidly added Sarah to 6 months ago so she could help with bills, to cover that month's rent and utilities. Everything else went into the new account. I changed my direct deposit information at work to go to the new account. I updated all my important accounts, credit cards, subscriptions, everything, to use my new banking information. I also went to see my landlord. I'd been a tenant for 5 years, always paid on time, never caused problems. We had a good relationship. I explained the situation, showed him the lease with only my name on it, and told him I'd be asking Sarah to leave. He was understanding and agreed to work with me if there were any issues. Then I did something I'm particularly proud of. I called Derek. I'd found his number on one of Sarah's phone bills. I used a burner app so he wouldn't have my real number, and I called him from my car during lunch. "Hello, is this Derek?" "Yeah, who's this?" "My name is Mark. I'm Sarah's boyfriend." There was a long pause. "I think you have the wrong number. Sarah Morrison, about 5'6", green eyes, graphic designer. You're taking her to Napa this weekend." Another pause, longer this time. Look, man, I don't know what Sarah told you, but she's single. We've been dating for about 4 months now. She lives with me, in my apartment. We've been together for 3 years. That's not. She said she had a roommate named Mark, but that it was just a roommate situation. She said you were gay. I actually laughed at that. Of course she'd said I was gay. No, Derek, I'm not gay. I'm her boyfriend. Or I thought I was, until I overheard her telling her friends that I'm just a convenient roommate who pays her bills. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. This is some kind of joke. I wish it was. Look, I'm not calling to start a fight with you. I actually think we're both victims here, but I thought you should know the truth about who you're dating. Check her social media if you don't believe me. Look at her tagged photos from a couple years ago. I hung up before he could respond. I don't know what I expected to happen from that call. Maybe nothing. Maybe he wouldn't believe me. Maybe he'd tell Sarah and she'd confront me before I was ready. But it felt good to throw a wrench into her carefully balanced double life. Sarah came back from Napa on Sunday night, happy and tanned. She showed me photos from the trip, spinning some story about the client and the meetings they'd had. I nodded and smiled and pretended to believe her. I'm glad it went well, I said. Did you get the contract? She blinked. What? The contract with the client, did you get them to sign? Oh, yeah, probably. They said they'd email me this week. That's great, honey. I'm really proud of you. She smiled and kissed me. I felt nothing. Over the next week, I continued my preparations. I boxed up anything of value that belonged to me, anything I didn't want to risk Sarah damaging or taking when things went south. I moved the boxes to a storage unit I'd rented. I also started looking for evidence I could use publicly. I wasn't just going to kick her out and move on. I wanted everyone to know what she'd done. I wanted her friends to know, her family to know. I wanted consequences. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Sarah was going to her company's holiday party. Well, that's what she told me. I'd learned to verify everything she said now. I checked the social media pages of graphic designers in our area, looked at industry groups, tried to find any mention of a holiday party that weekend. Nothing. So on the night of her party, I followed her again. This time she didn't go to Derek's place. She went to a nice restaurant downtown. I parked across the street and watched as she met up with a guy I didn't recognize. Tall, blonde, definitely not Derek. They had dinner, lots of wine, lots of touching and laughing. Then they went back to his place. I took photos of everything. Her going into the restaurant, them having dinner through the window, them leaving together, her going into his building. I sat in my car for 2 hours waiting. When she finally came out, her hair was messier and her lipstick was gone. More photos. I got home before she did and pretended to be asleep. She crawled into bed next to me, and I had to lie there, knowing where she'd been, what she'd done, who she'd been with. The next morning, I told her I needed to talk to her. Is everything okay? She asked, looking concerned. The act was really quite good. I've been doing a lot of thinking, I said. About us, about our relationship. I could see her tense slightly. Okay, I feel like maybe we've grown apart, like maybe we want different things. She relaxed. Mark, every relationship goes through rough patches. We just need to reconnect. Do you love me, Sarah? Of course I do. Are we in a relationship, like a real committed relationship? Why are you asking me this? Just answer the question. She looked annoyed now. Yes, Mark, we're in a relationship. We live together. We've been together for 3 years. Why are you being weird? And you're not seeing anyone else. Her eyes narrowed. Are you accusing me of cheating? Where is this coming from? I'm just asking. No, I'm not seeing anyone else. Are you? Is that what this is about? Are you projecting? I had to admire the deflection. Turn it around on me, make me the bad guy for even asking. No, I said calmly. I'm not seeing anyone else. I've been completely faithful to you for 3 years. Then what's this about? I'm just trying to understand where we stand, because sometimes I feel like we're on different pages. She softened, came over and put her arms around me. We're fine, baby. I love you. You're just stressed from work. Maybe we should plan a vacation or something, get away for a while. A vacation she'd expect me to pay for, no doubt. Maybe, I said. She kissed me, and I let her, even though it made my skin crawl. That night, I finalized my plan. Everything was in place. I documented everything, secured my finances, protected my assets. Now I just needed the perfect moment. It came 2 weeks later. Sarah's birthday. She'd been planning a big party at a trendy bar downtown, inviting all her friends. She'd asked me to pay for it, of course, saying it would mean so much to her. I'd agreed, even increased the budget she'd requested. The day of the party, I helped her set up. I mingled with her friends, the same friends who knew I was just the roommate, playing along with whatever story Sarah had told them. I smiled and laughed and played the part of the doting boyfriend. Halfway through the party, I asked the bartender for everyone's attention. I'd paid for an open bar, so everyone was pretty drunk and happy. They all turned to me, raising their glasses. "I just want to say a few words about the birthday girl," I said, holding up my own drink. Sarah was beaming, surrounded by her friends. She thought I was about to give some sweet speech about how much I loved her. "Sarah and I have known each other for 3 years now. She moved into my apartment about 2 years ago, and it's been quite a journey." People were smiling, waiting for the romantic part. I thought we were building a life together. I thought we were in love. I thought I'd found the person I was going to marry. Sarah's smile faltered slightly. This wasn't going the way she'd expected. But recently, I learned something interesting. I learned that while I thought we were in a committed relationship, Sarah has been telling people that I'm just her roommate, that she's single. The room got very quiet. Sarah's face went white. I learned that she's been dating other people. Multiple other people, actually. That she's been using me for rent money and bill money while she spends her own money on dates with other men. "Mark, what are you doing?" Sarah's voice was shaky. I pulled out my phone. "I have proof, if anyone's interested." Messages, emails, photos, it's all very enlightening. I'd created a shared folder earlier and posted the link on the bar's TV screen, which was connected to a laptop for playing music. Photos of Sarah with Derek, with the blonde guy. Screenshots of her messages, the page from her journal. People started looking at their phones as the link spread through the room. I could see expressions changing from confusion to shock to disgust. "Mark, please, let me explain." Sarah was crying now, trying to grab my arm. I pulled away. "Explain what?" "That you've been lying to me for years. That you've been using me. That you told your friends I was too stupid to realize what was happening." Jessica, one of the friends from the bar that first night, was staring at her phone in horror. "Sarah, is this real?" It's not what it looks like." "Really?" I said. "Because it looks like you've been scamming me for years. It looks like you're a liar and a cheater who thought she could have her cake and eat it too." Amanda, another friend, looked furious. "You told us he was just your roommate. You said you barely knew him." I didn't mean. "I've spent almost $60,000 on you over the past 2 years," I continued. "Rent, utilities, your car, your credit cards, your student loans, groceries, clothes, trips, everything. And the whole time you've been telling people I'm just a roommate, that I'm too stupid to realize I'm being used." Derek walked in right then. I'd sent him the invitation to the party earlier that week, figuring he deserved to see this too. "What the hell is going on?" he said, looking between me and Sarah. "Derek," Sarah looked like she might pass out. "Oh good, you made it," I said. "Sarah, I believe you know Derek, your boyfriend. Well, one of them." Derek's face went red. "Are you kidding me right now, Sarah?" The blonde guy from the restaurant walked in next. I'd done some detective work and figured out who he was, sent him an invitation too. "Am I late?" he said, then stopped when he saw the scene. Sarah was full-on sobbing now, her makeup running down her face. Her birthday party had turned into a public exposure of everything she'd been hiding. "You're all crazy," she said, looking around at the crowd of people staring at her. "Mark is obsessed with me, he's stalking me, none of this is true." "Really?" I pulled out a folder I'd brought with me. "Because I have bank statements showing every payment I've made for you. I have the lease showing you're not on it. I have your journal where you wrote about using me. I have screenshots of your dating app conversations. I have photos of you with other men." Should I keep going? She just stood there, shaking, cornered. "The best part," I continued, "is that legally you have no claim to anything. You're not on the lease. Your name isn't on any of the furniture or electronics. I've been keeping detailed records. So here's what's going to happen. You have 30 days to move out of my apartment. That's me being generous. Legally, I could have you out in 3 days as an unauthorized guest." "You can't do this," she whispered. "I absolutely can, and I am. Happy birthday, Sarah." I set down my drink and walked out of the bar. Behind me, I could hear the eruption of voices, people demanding explanations from Sarah, Derek, and the other guy arguing, her friends turning on her. I sat in my car for a few minutes, shaking. I'd done it. I'd exposed her in front of everyone. It should have felt better than it did. Instead, I just felt empty. My phone started blowing up almost immediately. Messages from people at the party, from mutual friends, from people who'd seen the evidence I'd shared. Most were supportive, shocked by what Sarah had done. A few accused me of being cruel, of humiliating her publicly. I drove home and started the process of changing the locks. I'd already gotten permission from my landlord. By the time Sarah came back, if she came back, she wouldn't be able to get in. She showed up around midnight, pounding on the door, screaming to be let in. I'd anticipated this. I opened the door with the chain still on. "You need to leave," I said calmly. "This is my home. You can't lock me out." "Actually, I can. You're not on the lease. I've boxed up your essential items. Clothes, toiletries, personal effects. They're right here." I'd spent the evening packing up her stuff. "Not everything, just enough to get by for a few days. I have nowhere to go. You have friends, you have family, you have Derek or the other guy or whoever else you've been seeing. That's not my problem anymore. Mark, please, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. We can work through this." "No, we can't. You didn't make a mistake, Sarah. You made a choice. Hundreds of choices. Every day you lied to me was a choice. Every time you took my money and spent it on other men was a choice. Every time you told your friends I was just a stupid roommate was a choice. I love you." "No, you don't. You love what I provide. There's a difference." She tried a different tactic. "If you do this, I'll tell everyone you were abusive. That you forced me to stay, that you controlled me." I held up my phone. "I'm recording this conversation, Sarah, so please continue threatening to make false abuse allegations. I'm sure that'll work out great for you." Her face crumpled. "I have nowhere to go," she repeated, quieter this time. For a moment, just a moment, I felt bad. Then I remembered her laughing with her friends about how stupid I was. I remembered the journal entry about keeping me around for free rent. I remembered her with other men. "Figure it out," I said, and closed the door. She stayed outside for another hour, alternating between begging and threatening. Eventually, she took her boxes and left. I later found out she went to Jessica's place, but Jessica kicked her out after a couple of days. Apparently, Sarah had borrowed money from her too and never paid it back. The fallout was intense. Sarah tried to control the narrative on social media, posting about how I'd been controlling and jealous, how she'd tried to leave me but I wouldn't let her. But too many people had seen the evidence. Her friends came forward with their own stories of Sarah borrowing money, lying, using people. Derek posted a scathing message about her, warning other guys about her. The blonde guy did the same. I didn't contribute to any of it. I'd said what I needed to say at the party. Now I just wanted to move on. Sarah's family reached out to me. Her mom called, crying, apologizing for her daughter's behavior. Apparently, this wasn't the first time Sarah had done something like this. There'd been a guy in college she'd used for money and housing. Her mom had hoped she'd grown out of it. I told her mom I appreciated the call, but I didn't want any contact with Sarah or anyone connected to her. I needed a clean break. Sarah sent me hundreds of messages over the next few weeks, apologizing, begging, threatening, bargaining. I didn't respond to any of them. I saved them all just in case I needed them later, but I didn't engage. She tried to come to my workplace. Security escorted her out. She tried to wait by my car. I called the police and filed a report for harassment. She finally got the message after I filed for a restraining order. The 30 days came and went. Sarah had been slowly coming by to get her stuff when I was at work. I'd arranged with my landlord to let her in with supervision. On day 30, I had the landlord change the locks again and sent Sarah a message that she was no longer welcome in the apartment for any reason. Anything she'd left behind would be donated. She tried to sue me for illegal eviction, but she didn't have a case. Like I said, she wasn't on the lease, and I had documentation showing I'd given her appropriate notice and access to her belongings. That was 3 months ago. I haven't heard from Sarah in about a month now. Mutual friends say she moved to a different city, trying to start over. I hope she gets help, genuinely. What she did was awful, but I don't wish her a terrible life. I just don't want her in mine. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. The apartment feels lighter without her in it. I took down that abstract art piece and replaced it with something I actually like. I rearranged the furniture. I made the space mine again. I've been in therapy, working through the trust issues and the feelings of betrayal. My therapist says I'm processing things in a healthy way, which is good to hear. I thought I'd be more damaged by this, but mostly I just feel relieved that it's over. I haven't started dating again yet. I'm not ready, but I'm okay with being alone. I've reconnected with friends I'd neglected while I was with Sarah. I've picked up hobbies I'd let fall by the wayside. I'm learning to enjoy my own company again. The weirdest part is how many people have reached out to share similar stories. Apparently, being used for money and housing while your partner pretends you're nothing is more common than I thought. It's a strange club to be part of, but there's something comforting about knowing I'm not alone in this experience. I've also become a lot more careful about money and relationships. I opened up about what happened on a few different online forums, and the response was overwhelming. Thousands of people sharing their own stories, offering advice, providing support. It helped more than I expected. Some people have criticized how I handled the situation. They say I was cruel to expose Sarah publicly, that I should have just broken up with her privately and moved on. Maybe they're right. Maybe I took it too far, but I don't regret it. She'd made me feel stupid and worthless for years. She'd used me and laughed about it with her friends. She'd planned to keep doing it for as long as she could get away with it. She needed to face consequences, and not just losing free rent, but social consequences. Her friends needed to know the kind of person she was. The guys she was dating needed to know they were being played. Her family needed to see that she hadn't changed from the person she'd been in college. Would I do it differently if I could go back? I don't know. Probably not. The public exposure was cathartic in a way that a private breakup wouldn't have been. It let me take back some of the power she'd taken from me. It let me control the narrative instead of letting her paint me as the crazy ex. I've learned a lot from this experience. I've learned to trust my gut when something feels off. I've learned that love shouldn't be one-sided, that a real partner contributes equally to the relationship, emotionally and financially. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I've also learned that I'm worth more than someone who sees me as a convenient ATM. I deserve someone who's proud to be with me, who introduces me as their partner, who doesn't hide me from their friends or lie about the nature of our relationship. I deserve someone who respects me. I thought Sarah was that person. For a while, maybe she was. But people change, or maybe I just didn't see who she really was until it was too late. Either way, I'm glad I found out when I did, before I proposed, before we got married, before we had kids. Imagine dealing with this level of betrayal while legally bound to someone or sharing custody of children. Sometimes at night, I still think about that moment in the bar when I first heard her call me just a roommate. The way my world tilted on its axis. The way everything I thought I knew became a lie. It still hurts, even now. I don't know if that pain will ever completely go away. But I'm building a new life, a better life, one based on honesty and self-respect. One where I'm not afraid to stand up for myself and demand better treatment. One where I'm not defined by someone else's perception of me. I saw Derek a few weeks ago, actually. We ran into each other at a coffee shop. It was awkward for about 30 seconds, and then we both started laughing. We ended up sitting down and talking for over an hour. He'd been through a similar situation with an ex a few years before Sarah. We bonded over our shared experience of being fooled by the same woman. He's dating someone new now, someone who seems genuinely nice. He's taking it slow, being more careful. I told him I was happy for him. He asked if I was seeing anyone. I said no, not yet, but maybe someday. The truth is, I'm not sure I'm ready to trust someone like that again. Sarah broke something in me and I'm still figuring out how to fix it, but I'm hopeful. That's something, at least. I've also started being more open with the people in my life. I told my parents what happened. They were supportive and angry on my behalf. My dad wanted to confront Sarah himself, which was sweet but unnecessary. My mom just hugged me and told me I deserved better. She was right. I told my coworkers too, at least the ones I'm close with. They'd met Sarah at company events and liked her. They were shocked when I told them what she'd really been doing. A couple of them admitted they'd thought something seemed off about our relationship, but hadn't wanted to say anything. I wish they had, but I understand why they didn't. My boss pulled me aside and told me to take some time off if I needed it. I appreciated the offer, but work was actually helping. It gave me structure, something to focus on that wasn't the betrayal and hurt. I've been doing well at work, actually, better than before. I got a promotion last month, a significant raise. I'm saving more money now, building up what Sarah took from me. It feels good to see my bank account growing instead of draining. I've been thinking about buying a house. The apartment has too many memories, and now that I'm making more money, I can afford it. I want a fresh start in a space that's completely mine, that Sarah never touched. I went to an open house last weekend just to see what's out there. The realtor asked if my wife would be joining us, and I said I wasn't married. She apologized for assuming. I told her it was fine. It felt good to say it out loud. I'm not married. I'm not in a relationship. I'm single and I'm okay. I've also been working on forgiving myself. That's the hardest part, honestly. Forgiving myself for not seeing the signs sooner. For ignoring my gut when it told me something was wrong. For letting myself be used for so long. My therapist says I was manipulated, that Sarah was skilled at making me doubt my own perceptions. She's probably right. Sarah had a way of making me feel crazy for questioning her, like I was the problem, not her behavior. But still, I should have known. I should have protected myself better. I should have demanded more respect, more honesty. I should have walked away the first time I felt like something was off. I'm working on letting go of those should-haves. They don't change anything. They just keep me stuck in the past. I need to focus on the present, on building a future that doesn't include Sarah or the pain she caused. I've been journaling, actually, writing down my thoughts and feelings, processing everything that happened. It helps. Some days are harder than others. Some days I'm angry all over again. Some days I'm just sad about what I thought we had, what I thought we were building together. But more and more, I'm having good days. Days where I don't think about Sarah at all. Days where I feel genuinely happy and free. Those days are increasing, and that gives me hope. I've also been dating, sort of. Nothing serious, just casual coffee dates and dinners with women I've met through apps or friends. I'm upfront about where I am emotionally, that I'm not looking for anything serious right now. Most are understanding. Some aren't interested in casual, and that's okay too. It's strange, being back in the dating world after thinking I'd found my person. Everyone seems nice enough, but I find myself constantly comparing them to Sarah, looking for red flags, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I know that's not fair to them or to me, but I can't seem to help it. My therapist says it's normal, that it'll take time to trust again. She's probably right. I'm trying to be patient with myself, to give myself grace as I navigate this new reality. I've thought about reaching out to Sarah. Not to get back together, but to get closure, to ask her why she did it, what I did wrong, if any of it was real. But I know that's a bad idea. Nothing she could say would make this better. Nothing would give me the closure I'm looking for. The closure has to come from within. I have to accept that I may never fully understand why she did what she did, that I may never get the answers I want. I have to make peace with the fact that the relationship I thought I had was largely a fiction, something I'd built up in my mind that didn't match reality. That's the hardest pill to swallow. Not that she lied and cheated and used me, though that's awful. But that I was so wrong about something I was so sure of, that I could be that deluded, that blind to what was really happening. It makes me question everything. If I was that wrong about Sarah, what else am I wrong about? Can I trust my own judgment anymore? These are the questions that keep me up at night, but I'm working through them. Day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. I'm rebuilding my sense of self, my confidence, my ability to trust my own perceptions. It's slow work, but it's important work. I've also been thinking about what I want in a partner moving forward. Someone honest, obviously. Someone who's proud to be with me, who doesn't hide our relationship. Someone who contributes equally, who doesn't see me as a wallet. Someone who respects me and values what I bring to the relationship beyond financial support. I want someone who communicates, who tells me when something's wrong instead of letting resentment build up. Someone who's willing to work through problems instead of just checking out emotionally while keeping up appearances. I want a real partner, not a user. Not someone who's with me out of convenience or because it benefits them financially. I want someone who chooses me every day, who's all in, who's building a future with me, not just taking advantage of my present. I don't know if I'll find that person. I hope I will. But even if I don't, I know now that I'm better off alone than with someone who doesn't value me. That's progress. Looking back at everything that happened, I can see now that the relationship was broken long before I overheard Sarah in that bar. The signs were all there. The emotional distance, the lies, the financial imbalance, the separate lives we were leading. I just didn't want to see it. I was so invested in the idea of us, in the future I'd planned, that I ignored reality. I made excuses for her behavior, convinced myself that things would get better, that we just needed to get through this rough patch. But it wasn't a rough patch. It was who she was, who we were together. And no amount of hope or love on my part was going to change that. I wish I'd been braver earlier. I wish I'd confronted her the first time I felt like something was wrong. I wish I'd valued myself enough to demand better treatment. But I didn't, and I have to live with that. What I can do now is make sure I never let anyone treat me that way again. I can set better boundaries, communicate my needs more clearly, and walk away when those needs aren't being met. I can choose myself the way Sarah always chose herself. That's what I'm working on now, choosing myself, prioritizing my own happiness and well-being. It sounds selfish when I say it out loud, but my therapist assures me it's not. It's healthy. It's necessary. For too long, I put Sarah's needs above my own. I prioritized her happiness over mine. I gave and gave and gave, even when she wasn't giving anything back. I martyred myself in the name of love, thinking that's what you were supposed to do in a relationship. But that's not love. That's not healthy. Real love is reciprocal. It's balanced. Both people give and both people receive. Both people make sacrifices and both people feel valued. What Sarah and I had wasn't real love. Maybe it was at the beginning, but it certainly wasn't at the end. And recognizing that, accepting that, is part of my healing process. I've also had to accept that I may have contributed to the problem. Not the cheating or the lying, that's all on Sarah. But the financial imbalance, the lack of boundaries, the enabling of her behavior. I did that. I made those choices. At any point, I could have said no. I could have refused to pay for things. I could have demanded she contribute equally. I could have insisted on couples therapy when I felt us drifting apart. But I didn't. I just kept giving, kept hoping it would be enough. That's on me. And while it doesn't excuse what Sarah did, it's something I need to own and learn from. I need to be better about setting boundaries, about not losing myself in a relationship, about maintaining my own identity and self-worth regardless of whether I'm single or partnered. These are the lessons I'm taking from this experience. They're hard-won and painful, but they're valuable. I'm a different person now than I was before Sarah. In some ways, I'm damaged. In other ways, I'm stronger. I'm definitely wiser. I know what red flags to look for now. I know what I will and won't tolerate. I know my worth, and I won't settle for less than I deserve. These are gifts, in a twisted way, that Sarah gave me through her betrayal. I've started saying no more often, to work requests that overstep boundaries, to friends who want favors but never reciprocate, to family members who take advantage. It feels strange, almost wrong, but also empowering. I'm learning that saying no to others means saying yes to myself. It means valuing my time, my energy, my resources. It means not being a doormat, not being a people pleaser, not sacrificing my own needs for others. This is hard for me. I'm a natural giver, a natural fixer. I want to help people, to make them happy, to solve their problems. But I'm learning that I can't pour from an empty cup, that I need to take care of myself first. Sarah taught me that lesson the hard way. She took and took and took until there was almost nothing left of me. And I let her because I thought that's what love looked like. But it's not. Love shouldn't leave you depleted and questioning your worth. So I'm filling my own cup now. I'm doing things that make me happy. I'm investing in friendships that are reciprocal. I'm pursuing hobbies and interests that fulfill me. I'm building a life that I love, with or without a romantic partner. And you know what? It feels good. Really good. I'm happier now, 3 months post-Sarah, than I was the entire last year we were together. That tells me everything I need to know about that relationship. I still have moments of weakness. Moments where I miss her, or more accurately, miss the idea of her, the version of her I'd built up in my mind. Moments where I wonder if I overreacted, if I should have given her another chance, if things could have been different. But then I remember her laughing with her friends about how stupid I was. I remember finding out about Derek, about the other guy, about the lies upon lies upon lies. I remember feeling like a fool, like a wallet with legs. And I know I made the right choice. Some bridges need to be burned. Some relationships are beyond saving. What Sarah and I had was one of them. There was no coming back from that level of betrayal, that fundamental disrespect. And I'm okay with that now. I don't want her back. I don't want to fix things. I want to move forward to build a life that doesn't include her in any capacity. I'm finally, truly over Sarah. It took 3 months, countless therapy sessions, supportive friends and family, and a lot of hard work on myself. But I'm here. I'm okay. I'm better than okay. I'm free. That's what this whole experience has taught me. That sometimes the worst thing that happens to you ends up being the best thing. That rock bottom can be a foundation to build on. That betrayal can lead to growth if you let it. I'm not grateful for what Sarah did. I wouldn't wish this pain on anyone, but I am grateful for who I've become because of it. I'm stronger, wiser, more self-aware. I have better boundaries, healthier relationships, a clearer sense of self. I'm building a life I'm proud of. A life that's mine, that I've chosen, that reflects who I really am and what I really want. Not what someone else wants from me, but what I want for myself. And that's the real revenge, isn't it? Not the public humiliation at her birthday party, though I won't lie and say that didn't feel good in the moment. But living well, being happy, moving on and building something beautiful from the ashes of what she destroyed. Sarah wanted to use me and discard me when someone better came along. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too, to keep me around for stability and money while she pursued excitement elsewhere. But I didn't let her discard me. I took control of the situation. I exposed her. I kicked her out. I moved on. I'm thriving without her, while from what I hear, she's struggling, alone in a new city, her reputation in tatters. I don't take joy in her suffering. I'm not that person. But I do take satisfaction in knowing that actions have consequences, that you can't treat people the way she treated me without eventually facing repercussions. And I take pride in how I handled it. I could have been violent. I could have destroyed her property. I could have done a lot of things that would have been understandable given the circumstances. But I didn't. I took the high road, mostly. I exposed the truth and let the chips fall where they may. Was the public exposure necessary? Maybe not. But it felt necessary at the time, and I stand by that decision. She'd made a fool of me privately for years. I made a fool of her publicly for one night. Seems like a fair trade. Would I recommend this approach to others? I don't know. Every situation is different. But for me, in my circumstances, it was the right move. It gave me closure, gave her consequences, and warned other potential victims about what she was capable of. So here I am, 3 months later, writing this all out for strangers on the internet. Partly because it's therapeutic, partly because I want to warn others about people like Sarah, partly because I want to hear that I'm not crazy, that what I felt and how I reacted was justified. And maybe someone out there is going through something similar. Maybe someone is ignoring red flags, making excuses for a partner who doesn't respect them, giving and giving to someone who only takes. Maybe my story will help them see what's happening, will give them the courage to demand better or walk away. If that's you, please hear me. You deserve better. You deserve someone who values you, who respects you, who's proud to be with you. You deserve a partner, not a user. You deserve reciprocal love, not one-sided sacrifice. Don't ignore your gut. Don't make excuses for bad behavior. Don't lose yourself trying to keep someone who doesn't want to be kept. Don't sacrifice your dignity, your self-worth, your financial security for someone who sees you as convenient rather than essential. And if you find yourself in a situation like mine, where you discover the person you love has been using you, lying to you, making a fool of you, get out. Protect yourself legally and financially. Document everything. And don't be afraid to expose the truth. You don't owe loyalty to someone who's been disloyal to you. You don't owe privacy to someone who's been humiliating you behind your back. You don't owe anything to someone who's taken everything from you. Take back your power. Take back your life. And build something better from what they tried to destroy. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'll keep doing. And someday, maybe soon, maybe not for a while, I'll find someone who deserves the love I have to give. Someone who gives it back just as fully. Someone who's my partner in every sense of the word. Until then, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm healing. I'm growing. I'm living. And that's enough. Sarah doesn't get to define me or my worth. She doesn't get to be the end of my story. She's just a chapter, a painful one, but one that's closed now. The rest of the book is still unwritten, and I'm the only one holding the pen. And that feels pretty damn good. So if you've read this far, thank you. Thank you for listening, for caring, for taking the time to hear my story. I hope it helps someone. I hope it warns someone. I hope it gives someone the courage to choose themselves. And if nothing else, I hope it shows that you can survive betrayal. You can come out the other side. You can be okay again, even when it feels impossible. Because I'm okay. Finally, truly okay. And if I can get here after everything Sarah put me through, anyone can. Life goes on. Hearts heal. And sometimes, the worst betrayal leads to the best transformation. I'm living proof of that.